morning, Anne Claire. How are you?
Hi, Meg. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Have I told you this is something I thought would be an update? Have I told you that I'm now using an app called Sleep Cycle to
No.
okay. So I've been collecting data about my sleep, just seeing like how much sleep I'm getting, how long it takes me to fall asleep. It's kind of fun. I'm not doing it like religiously or anything. But the funniest thing is that it records the noises you make when you sleep.
Uh-huh.
And turns out your girl is a sleep talker, like big time.
So what do you talk about?
So I'm realizing I have this reoccurring dream. I don't know if it's a reoccurring dream, but it sounds like it is because several times, like throughout the past month or two or longer, it's like seems like a common theme. This is literally how my dreams go. I go, hello, 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 excuse me. And then that's it. Like I'm trying to get someone's attention and then I'm trying to politely ask, hello, excuse me. And I'm like it's really sad. So last night I was like, hello, hello, hi, excuse me, in the middle of the night again. I'm like this polite sleep talker who's like really
Aw.
stressed.
We need to figure out what you need, girl.
I need to be heard, apparently. But like
Aw.
it's like, I would say it happens once a week. And I don't remember these dreams, but it came up again last night and I think this is so funny.
I wonder if you were to be awakened by anything at that moment, would you know what the dream is about?
I don't know, maybe. At this point, I feel like I know what the dream is. I'm imagining I'm like in a crowd trying to get someone's attention, and then I'm like tapping on their shoulders. I don't know.
Yeah, but who? What that attention? What do you need? What are you asking about? You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Right,
curious to know.
I never get past the excuse me part.
Yeah, because clearly the person is being mean and not turning around. But
I
like,
know.
because I know that for myself, like I can actually remember dreams if they're quite intense and or if I wake up like and I think about it specifically and or write it down, which makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
then just my memory just gets erased if I don't write it down or if I don't think about it for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And I know that happens a lot more if for any reason, for example, I wake up and I was still dreaming and something wakes me up. And so that's why I'm wondering, because I'm like, maybe you could try to like have the thing wake you up so that you can figure out who you're talking to.
Maybe in Portugal, if we're sharing an Airbnb, you can just Meg, you're doing that thing. But yeah, my mom was like, I'm so proud of you. You're even polite in your dreams. I'm like, this is a problem. Why am I so polite in my dreams?
That is so interesting. I actually feel like we should be less polite in life,
That's the
honestly.
thing. That's the thing. I'm like, I was definitely, I think it's a great quality to be a polite person. But at the same time, I think it was like very, very much ingrained into me to always say please, always say thank you,
Yeah.
always say excuse me.
You know, the rebel in me feels like politeness is one of those things that we're asked and taught is good and is like something that is so very valued because when we are polite, we don't make people currently in power uncomfortable and we don't create messes. So
Yeah.
that is the little rebel in me that in the last, I don't know, 10 years has really started moving away from being like, I should be polite. Being polite is really good. And I'm like, well, maybe being polite is just a way for people who already hold power to keep us nicely in line. And I get it. Like, I'm not saying just being, a butthole and polite and, just being mean for the purposes of being mean. I'm not valuing that either, obviously. But like, that person in your dreams, maybe that person would, deserve for you to just yank them around and be like, I need that.
I'm gonna see some like mind exercises so that one day in my dreams, I'll just turn the person around and go, give me what I need.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you can provide that to yourself for any reason. Or maybe you don't even need to turn around because they're already looking at you and you're asking for permission and you already have it. So many options.
Yeah. I don't even know, but it's been funny because it's turning into a thing. Like I am the polite sleep talker who's always really, really desperate sounding.
Oh,
So
it is. Oh, I wish we could figure out how that
entertaining for YouTube to hear about my life.
I have so many questions, but message received. Let's move into the question.
Let's move into the question.
So someone has asked, will I ever forget calorie counts?
Well, that is a question I definitely asked myself because I memorized calories. I was one of those people who was like really proud of myself because I could estimate calories so accurately. But if you asked me to estimate calories now, I would totally miss the mark. Like I have completely forgotten the calorie counts to a degree that's almost like amnesia. So yes, you can forget. How about yourself?
I think we can forget. I think we might not forget all of them. Like personally, I was definitely a calorie counter in my head on papers. I have so many journals. It's kind of sad when I look back where I have like calorie counts out checking with myself throughout the day, blah, blah, blah. I even had those apps where you can also follow up on, counts and whatever. I did all of that and I forgot most of it. I have a few random facts like in numbers that seem to be like hardwired into my brain. So, do we forget all of them? Apparently not. Maybe they will. Maybe it's just a question of time. I don't know. At the same time, I find this question interesting, even for the reason why it is being asked. And I also have a little story that I want to tell, and I don't know what to start out with.
I like the story idea.
Okay. So, like to an extent, I want to give our brains a break. Like, when we learn things, for example, multiplication, like that's cool. We learn them and we repeat them so many times that hopefully we remember them for a long time, And it's normal that we remember certain things for a long time when we have spent years and years and years learning and then using that information. And the story that comes up for me is like last week, I went to a Polish church. So if anyone doesn't know, I'm actually half Polish. And I used to go to Polish church. I was going to say religiously. Pun in. It's like, thanks, Claire. Every week, right? So obviously, at church, the priest says something and then everyone else says something back. And there's this entire script that you go through. And it's kind of the same every week. Like granted, some things change, but a lot of it remains the same. And I haven't been going to church regularly in any way whatsoever in French or in Polish for years. And yet there I was back in Polish church, able to do the exchange thing.
Yeah.
Because I repeated that for so many years that it's still in there. It's still in the back. I definitely messed up a few things that were more like kind of what I was supposed to say. But a lot of it was still there. A lot of songs were still there. A lot of, things that, the call response thing, because that's how brains work and that's okay. And that just really reminded me of that. Well, yeah, of course, I did that for years. What am I expecting from my brain? To just forget because, I don't use it? Sure, it is forgetting it because I wasn't doing it perfectly. And some of it was very like approximative, not quite it. But I want to just bring that up as an example because we're not doing recovery wrong when we're not forgetting about all the things. And it's not a condition to recover, to forget all the calorie counts or the other stuff. And that was my other point, right? It's like, why are we asking this question? Because often when clients bring that up, it's as a form of self-judgment. Like clearly I'm not doing this right because I still know the numbers, or as a way of being like, I will never get there because I will always know this stuff. And that to an extent, I'm like, well, what if you do? You can still not use the information or make choices based on that information.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think that's really the key here. It's like you can have the knowledge, but you're not responding to it or using it to influence your decisions. And that's really the key is like, you can still remember the calorie counts, but you're not going to let it impact what you're eating that day, right? You're going to still connect with your body and listen to what your body needs versus externalizing everything to numbers. And that's really the key and proof that you are recovered. You definitely don't have to forget. But I will say, I definitely did forget, but I've been recovered for maybe over a decade now. So I don't know when all of that erased. I know there was a point in the pandemic, I was asked, like, can you guess how many calories are in this thing? Someone just turned and asked me this, and I said something, I estimated, and it was completely off. And I was like, okay, nice. I had no clue. That was great. Okay.
It's like one of those really weird flex, but as a recovered person, we get it.
It was such a flex. I was like, nice. I have literally no idea. Like, this is good. This is a good sign.
It is true.
I did.
It is true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, give your brain some time. Everyone, please give your brain some time and give your brain the opportunity of repeating a different scenario, i.e. the scenario where you don't use the calories to make a decision. And that being said, please do challenge intentionally not counting the calories. All right. We're not saying, cross your fingers and hope for the best. So also not what we're saying. For a while, I had to intentionally not count. I had to intentionally delete the apps. I had to intentionally not write down the numbers on a little piece of paper or in my journal to just check in with myself how it was doing. I had to intentionally make food for myself and add things so that I wouldn't know and I wasn't able to know. I would intentionally go and ask someone to make the food for me and learn to be okay with that and not knowing exactly what was in there. I had to intentionally go and buy the food from a store where the stuff wouldn't be written out everywhere so that I would start tolerating not knowing until I would be in a position, like in a state of mind where I didn't even care about receiving that information because I had finally experienced how that wasn't actually an information that I needed to make choices for myself. So it's not one, not the other. It's both and here. You do work intentionally on moving away from them. And at the same time, if the calories still pop up in your head and you look at the food and you have that number that pops out at the same time, that is not a reason to judge yourself or to tell yourself that recovery is not working for you or that you will never get there. That's what we're saying.
Yep. I love that. It's so true. Like, there are so many things you can do to erase the numbers, confuse yourself out of knowing the numbers. And then it just turns into coping with the discomfort and tolerating the discomfort of not knowing. And I find a lot of people feel a little bit of relief knowing that their brain isn't constantly just calculating and budgeting. And that's nice to have new brain space like that, like recognizing, oh, I deleted the apps and now I have an extra hour of my day that I would have been calculating and overthinking and ruminating over hours. And now I'm not really doing that anymore. So there are benefits to giving this a try, perhaps immediate benefits to trying to stop calculating.
Oh, yeah. And it starts with small steps, like deleting one app. That is one step. So if you have one of those, that's something you can consider today. If you know that you're writing them down, maybe your first step is to be super aware of when did you write them down? Because I knew there were specific moments in the day where I was doing those check-ins with myself. So I could intentionally come to those moments in the day and circuit that and break that pattern. Or I could simply start with, when I will spot that I'm doing a count in my head, because sometimes you just do it in the head, I will simply notice it and state to myself that I do not want to engage in that and then attach to that something that is personal, like because blah, 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 like because this has only brought, poor consequences in my life, or because this is where I'm moving with my life, or, whatever works for you. But, that those are small steps that you can take today, tomorrow,
And also
next week.
education around the accuracy of calories
Yeah.
is huge. Like just recognizing that prepackaged items actually have a pretty large amount of variance for like calculating these calories. So the same package, it might say it's X number of calories, but it's not actually that number of calories. So you're calculating calories like it's an exact science when it's really not. So I don't know, like
Yeah.
there are people,
Honestly,
it's like 5 calories, 2 calories matter, but at the end of the day, you're probably already off.
Mhm. Oh, definitely. Oh, we are certainly off.
So it's an interesting thing. And not to mention calories in, calories out is also bullshit because every single day, your body's not a machine. It's not a robot that uses the same amount of energy every day to do the same amount of things. There's so many things that impact your metabolism that's going to vary every single day, which is why you really need to be in tune to your body's needs. But I feel like you're about to say something. So,
Oh, no, I just wanted to encourage anyone that has many questions about this. Like, what do you mean it's wrong? And what do you mean it's incorrect? And why is calories in out so false? I was going to use a less polite word. I really, really want to encourage you to, one, maybe seek a different kind of information, than the regular stuff you might have consumed so far, but also to have these conversations with your dietitians, because I know, for example, RRC in-house dietitian, Talia, would have so much to say about this. And they are very much qualified and specialized in guiding people who are in recovery from an eating disorder. So maybe go to the people who have the proper knowledge and qualifications to give you the data, because you deserve to challenge, the beliefs and the knowledge that you have accumulated so far. And God knows how much BS is out there on this one topic.
amen, sister.
That was a very churchy religion.
In Polish.
It's amen as well. I mean, it's not
How do you say
exactly.
amen, sister in Polish?
Amen, siostro.
Amen, siostro.
It was so weird. But
That was my full circle joke, Anne Claire, because we were talking about church earlier.
I know, but it feels really weird. And yeah, so there's that. Now I'm going to continue teaching Polish to Meg, and 2025 retreat in Poland in Polish, obviously. That's going to be fun.
That'd be a trip. Yeah.
Maybe we'll start with French. Okay. Because my French is way better than my Polish.
I love to learn French.
So anyway, and then we'll do Polish, and then we'll do Dutch.
What about Spanish? That one.
Well, I don't speak Spanish yet.
I'm not even Spanish, so I have at least some Spanish knowledge. I can hold a candle in that department.
Sounds good.
We'll think about it. All right.
We'll think about it.
We got to go. Have a nice week. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Mwah.